Yo, what is up, y'all? My name is Robert Donaldson, and welcome back to another edition of Rob's Best Bets. And we are once again talking about the NCAA tournament, and we are here in the Elite Eight. And as you guys can see, our overall tournament has kind of been up and down, but the Sweet 16 came through for us in a massive way. We brought in over 11 units during the Sweet 16, and my goodness, that just changes all the momentum for us. I really do feel like we were getting kind of, I don't want to say screwed. Bad beats are going to happen, especially in tournament play and on a national stage like this when lines are so sharp. So many people are betting these games, and the lines, when they get whittled down or boosted up or kind of whatever, find their little mark, are going to be really tough to hit at certain points. But we really did, obviously, some really good work in the Sweet 16, and I am so excited to talk about the Elite 8 here today. But before we jump into those picks, I do want to take a second to shout out today's sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. And if you haven't already signed up using promo code RobDFB, I highly recommend you do so. With Major League Baseball starting up and with college basketball kind of coming down the wire here, we're going to have a number of Underdog Pick'em entries posted over on Twitter/X at RobDFB. But with all that being said, y'all, let's go ahead and jump into our 4 Elite 8 games here on Saturday and Sunday. All right, first up, we are taking a look at that Texas Tech-Florida game, and this is a fantastic game. I'm very excited to watch it, and whether or not Chance McMillan actually ends up playing for Texas Tech, I really don't think it matters. I think that Texas Tech is kind of underrated from an athlete standpoint. A lot of people are kind of talking about this game just being a drubbing by Florida, but, one thing I will say, Florida hasn't looked the sharpest over the last 2 games. I know they pulled away late last time out, but ultimately it was kind of a dogfight throughout the first half. And when you go back to that UConn game, obviously, in my opinion, I thought they were mostly outplayed in that game for the majority of it at the very least. And when you watch Texas Tech, they are very balanced, they are extremely well coached, and they have the athletes to go up against a team like a Florida. And for those reasons, I say we go ahead and take the 7 points here with the Red Raiders for 2 units for our first bet here in the Elite 8. For pick number 2, we are taking a look at a matchup here between Alabama and Duke. And we're actually going to have 2 bets in this game, and they're both kind of tethered to the same line of reasoning. And when you're looking at Duke, they've been very, very impressive. Heck, the only scary type of game that they've been in so far was against Arizona, where they were up 17 points in the second half, and that lead kind of got whittled away near the end, but ultimately they kind of put their foot down, ended up getting it done convincingly, and when that's your closest game, you're doing something right, I think, 3 rounds in. And when you're looking at Alabama on the other side, they struggled against Robert Morris out the gate, they dominated St. Mary's, they dominated BYU, but notably against St. Mary's and BYU, and even in this last game in particular against BYU, they are launching a ton of threes. And if you guys know me and just my conceptual viewpoint about the NCAA tournament, I don't think this style is conducive to long-term success in this style of tournament because your reliance on a lot of three-point jumpers falling, and if they're not falling, especially against a team like a Duke that's going to have a lot of different ways to put points on the board, I feel like you're in trouble, and Duke is laying 6.5 points here. I feel like that's totally warranted, so let's go ahead and lay the 6.5 number for 4 units, and for an additional 3 units, let's actually take the full game to go under 174.5. Obviously, Alabama and their shooting, success over the last 2 games is getting a lot of press, and especially last time out where they knocked down 1,000,000 threes, put up 1,000,000 points is what it kind of felt like, and I do feel like a lot of people are going to be wanting to target the over, but I feel like Duke is going to play into that, play some really lockdown defense, and I also think that there's a chance that Alabama just shoots themselves out of this ball game as well. But with all that being said, let's move on to our next pick here. For pick number 3, we are taking a look at that Tennessee-Houston game, and man, oh man, this is going to be a really fun matchup in terms of the defensive side of the ball and just physicality in general, whether it's on the offensive end or on the defensive end, in transition, forcing turnovers. This game is going to have all of it. It's also going to have two legendary head coaches with Rick Barnes and Kelvin Sampson, and really just everything on the line, right? I mean, a trip to the Final Four, a chance to compete for a championship game. I think that's very possible that the national champion, period, is actually playing in this game, whether it be Tennessee or whether it be Houston. And in this game, we're talking about it being a real great game, a real close game, a real physical game. But Tennessee is catching 4.5 points, a full possession, and then another half possession on top of that. And I feel like that's a lot of disrespect. I actually think that Tennessee ends up winning this game, and I feel like they've been actually playing the best basketball up to this point in the NCAA tournament. So let's go ahead and take the Tennessee Volunteers here, catching the 4.5 points for 4 units for our second to last bet here in the Elite Eight. All right, for our final bet here in the Elite Eight, we are looking at Michigan State taking on Auburn, and man, Michigan State was in an absolute dogfight against Ole Miss, and Auburn much the same against Michigan. I know that the score ballooned up on, I guess, both sides of the coin when you look at how, I guess, the final minutes played out there, but man, a lot of competition in the Sweet 16 for both of these teams, and when you look at Tom Izzo's bunch, I do feel like they are the more athletic team in this matchup, just from a raw athleticism standpoint, but I also feel like Auburn is a more skilled team with their veteran leadership, their composure, and just how they play each position. But when you are looking at the coaching advantage, I think it relies solely in the hands of Tom Izzo. I get it, Bruce Pearl has won a lot of games, but in terms of winning this deep in the tournament, Bruce Pearl really hasn't been here a whole lot, and I do feel like that's going to serve Tom Izzo and the Spartans really well. They're catching 5.5 points. I say we take them for 3 units for our final bet here in the Elite Eight. All that being said, I really want to thank you guys for checking out today's video, and if you do want to show some love, make sure you drop a like in the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and make sure you guys comment down below. But with all that being said, y'all, I will see you in a future video. Take it easy.